So guys, Tyler the Creator just did an interview and he said some very interesting things about the current state of hip-hop, which echo a lot of the sentiments that I feel, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel as well, in that the culture has become saturated. Artists care more about the meme than the music, and we've opened the doors to let bad artists into the genre, which takes away from the amount of attention that an artist on Tyler's caliber is able to have. So I'm going to walk you guys through a couple important points that Tyler made about hip-hop and why this is a lot scarier for the future of music than you might think. And we're going to play a little game at the end of this video to really see if hip-hop's dead or if Tyler's just overthinking, so stay tuned for that.
There's a lot of little nuggets in both of their disses that if it wasn't for these breakdowns, and salute to, guys like this, Rapaholics, because I think they directly get it.
Now, this conversation started by Tyler kind of walking us through the rise of the internet era, and he basically said that people will tell him he's complaining because he's basically complaining that fans push personal boundaries by trying to stalk you or constantly know what you're up to, but it's like, this is what you signed up for by creating music. But Tyler emphasizes that this is not the case. See, when he was coming up in 2011, it was a very different time in terms of how exposed an artist's personal life was to their fans. It was only in 2016 that a massive shift happened where everyone started carrying a phone on them. And then as a result, everyone's address was exposed to the public, everyone's next move was posted on Instagram for the world to see. And with that marked a massive cultural change in music where the line between artists and social media influencers became blurred.
I'm adjusting to like, damn, everyone could see everything. You could just look up someone's address. Every page, whether it's academic, shade room, is posting it. Now the conversation of music is gone because when artists put something out, the last thing they talk about is music. So you know what that does to a fan listening to music? If they see the person that made the music not give any value to it, you think they gonna give a fuck about the album? They're gonna listen to it for an hour and be like mid.
Now, this obviously carried over and had a negative impact on hip-hop, and I'm gonna have a separate video on the rise of mumble rap and clout rap and how that affected the landscape of hip-hop and music as a whole. But just know that once artists had to prioritize their social media appearance in order to properly market themselves and appeal to the widest fan base possible in the digital age, this is where the quality of projects and music in general took a back seat, and there's many reasons for this. See, I would argue that this started even before 2016, which is when Tyler's talking about. I think it started back in 2013 when Kanye married into the Kardashian family, which was the biggest family on Instagram, and we saw a side of Kanye that we never seen before. Not only was he now appearing on his wife's reality TV show, but it seemed like every day he was getting into another fight with a different paparazzi who was invading his space wherever he was. See, before marrying Kim, Kanye wasn't used to all these paparazzis in his face 24/7, so it was a culture shock for him to have to be concerned with how he looked, where he went, how he behaved, because everything was now on camera. Kanye even went on record to state that he got liposuction just to look skinny so he wouldn't be body shamed from pictures that the paparazzis took of him. And it was around this same time that Kanye would end up being checked into a mental hospital, develop this deranged obsession with Drake, and constantly trying to outdo him. And in my opinion, this is when Kanye started to become less focused on making amazing bodies of work and more focused on dressing Kim Kardashian, becoming a billionaire, doing these over-the-top fashion shows and listening parties, calling himself a god, trying to run for president, and overall just caring more about appearance, perception, stature, and reputation, rather than creating vulnerable, extravagant, thought-provoking bodies of work. This was also around the same time that the biggest rapper in the world, baton was passed to Drake, a title that used to be carried by guys like Kanye, Wayne, Eminem, and Jay-Z, and this was a problem in and of itself, which we'll touch on shortly. But to give you some context on Drake's responsibility towards this downtrend in the quality of mainstream hip-hop, you have to realize who Drake is behind closed doors. If you hear him talk before the fame or in behind-the-scenes footage, he sounds like a white guy with a basic Canadian accent. Like, he sounds like me, but of course lamer and less good-looking. But Drake came into the game as an actor. Drake knows how to cosplay or adapt to a role. Drake knew he had to gain the respect and admiration of hip-hop heads, so in order to do that, he diversified and watered down his sound so much that you had no choice but to at least like one type of Drake music. Whether it was the R&B, the lyrical stuff, the trap bangers, the dancehall, there was something for everybody, and how Drake did this was he constantly latched onto sounds that he likes and incorporated them into his music. Starting off when he first came into the game and was doing his best Joe Budden impression, which then led up to him incorporating sounds from Houston on his next project So Far Gone, where he teamed up with guys like Bun B or DJ Screw. Then we got him collaborating with and doing his best Lil Wayne impression. Then he ran to Atlanta collaborating with guys like Future, Migos, and Young Thug to incorporate more of a trap sound into into his music. Obviously, we saw him collaborate with artists like Wizkid to incorporate dancehall into his music. The list goes on. And what this emphasizes is that ultimately Drake is a chameleon. Behind the scenes, he's a white Jewish Canadian, but on Instagram and his music, at his shows, he's a different person depending on who he's around. One day he's Jamaican, the next day he's from Houston, maybe on the weekend he's cosplaying as The Weeknd, and by Monday he's a slime in the trap with 21 Savage and Young Thug. So what Drake did was, in order to spread himself so thin and make sure he pleased every type of listener, he programmed a large majority of the mainstream hip-hop audience to be okay with hearing their favorite rapper sound like their other favorite rapper. We love Drake and Future collaborations because Drake is great at entering into Future's world and running with his style. We love Drake and Party Next Door records because he morphs into an R&B singer right after being a trap artist so effortlessly. And again, we love it, it's great music, but it's conditioned us to be okay with our favorite rapper not having a true identity of their own. And not only just being okay with it, we champion it. We made Drake the biggest artist in the world and set a lower precedent and standard to where it's now okay to cosplay and imitate. Tyler emphasized this problem later in the interview when he started to talk about what many believe is an artist by the name of Ian. See, Ian is a white dude who just got a Lyrical Lemonade music video with Lil Yachty, and to put into perspective of how big Ian currently is and how quick his rise was, his song with Lil Yachty dropped on the same day as Lil Wayne and Corday's new song Saturday Mornings, and that Saturday Mornings record was getting tons of praise with everyone saying how great the rapping was from both Corday and Wheezy. But regardless, that new Ian and Lil Yachty record where Ian is doing his best Yeat or Future impression and rapping about a whole lot of nothing, that song has 50% more views on YouTube than that new Lil Wayne record. So just to put it into perspective, even if we love and praise a guy like Wayne for delivering an excellent verse 30 years into his career, we're still pushing that guy that's cosplaying Future more than we are real rap. And again, Tyler emphasized this point in this clip. He doesn't mention Ian directly by name, and in my opinion, I think he's also talking about Yeat, who's another white rapper who completely ran off with Playboi Carti and Future's sound, but has still managed to secure features from Drake and Lil Wayne before guys like J.I.D. or Denzel Curry were. And I say that just to show you the type of artist that mainstream hip-hop is currently pushing. But yeah, in this interview, Tyler basically said, this white kid, regular Caucasian man, he's like mocking Future and Gucci Mane, like rap music. And people are like, this music is hard. This is like weird.
Regular like Caucasian man. And he's like mocking Future and Gucci Mane rap music. And like people are like, this shit hard. It's not even like satire. It's like, I'm just joking, I'm just mocking it. But I'm like, no, you can't do. And I hold rap music so close to my heart. This is like weird in comparison to someone like a Mac Miller or Eminem, who it didn't seem like they was mocking it. They had a genuine love for it.
And it is weird, but based on what we spoke about, it does make sense. See, when the biggest rappers in the game like Eminem, Nas, and Jay-Z became less active, and rappers like Kanye, arguably the most influential figure in hip-hop, started focusing more on fashion and becoming president rather than making classic albums, which then led guys like Drake to take his spot and make it cool to cosplay, that's when the average rap fan's mind became reconditioned, and it's left us with a product like Yeat or Ian. A cheap mock-up of Future that the industry's pushing and conditioning you to think is hard. And the consequence of this is what Tyler said next, which is that no one has an identity of their own, and these low-quality rappers are taking up real estate and attention from artists who truly care about the craft and the quality of music that they release.
Man, you go to 2003. Jay didn't sound like T.I., who didn't sound like 50. Pharrell didn't sound like Dre, who ain't sound like Ye or Just Blaze or Alchemist. Everyone was themselves. Now, like, everyone is doing cosplay. It's a Spider-Man meme of, like, the next... Everyone uses the same slang. You are from LA and you saying slime? We don't say that. It's crazy how the internet has made everything so like nothing is its own thing no more.
And with the slime thing, that leads me into another interesting point. Young Thug. Don't get me wrong, I love Young Thug, one of my favorite artists that came out of the 2010s and definitely one of the most influential rappers of the 2010s. But if you want to talk about cosplaying and the negative effect that not having your own identity has had on hip-hop, then we need to talk about the rise of Young Thug. Cause while Drake was an actor and did his best to never let the audience know that he was playing a role in some of his music, Young Thug came in the game blatantly and shamelessly cosplaying as Lil Wayne. And you could say, oh, he just took influence from Wayne, he had his own style, and while I agree, he definitely evolved into his own artist and grew into his own sound, Thug was first introduced to the world as a bad Lil Wayne impersonator. So much so to the point where Lil Wayne threatened to sue Young Thug for stealing his album title, because if you guys don't remember, Young Thug's first major label project was Barter 6, which got its title from Wayne's Carter album series. And it was everything from the unconventional approach that both artists use in their vocal deliveries, where they delivered these fluid, melodic, auto-tune based flows to create a unique, like almost alien-like sound. This, combined with the experimental, unpredictable rhyme schemes, the playful wordplay, the face tattoos, the dreadlocks, everything about Young Thug in 2014 embodied what Lil Wayne was in 2007. And that was okay, because Thug, again, very much did evolve and form his own identity and bring this excitement and sound to the genre that we never experienced before. But as a result, he showed the world that it was okay to push the limitations of how much another artist's sound and swagger you can incorporate into your own in order to reach the same heights as the artist who initially inspired you. Before Wayne inspired Thug, Jay-Z inspired Lil Wayne, but Birdman, the owner of the record label that Lil Wayne was signed to, told him straight up to stop rapping like Jay-Z. The difference in generations is that no one told Young Thug to stop rapping like Lil Wayne, and as a result, several years later, you had carbon copies of Young Thug who he actually helped usher into the game. Guys like Lil Uzi, Lil Baby, and Gunna all came up off the sound and style that Young Thug designed. And I think that's what Tyler's talking about here. The digital era and the rise of the artists in it made us think it's cool for everyone to sound the same. And I gotta admit, sometimes I'm a victim of this. Like, when I first heard the song Oh Okay by Gunna, Lil Baby, and Young Thug, I couldn't stop listening to it. But when I first heard it, I also couldn't tell you who was rapping at what part of the song. It all sounded like the same artist. And this problem has only gotten worse. I think what Tyler forgot to mention was that it wasn't just the rise of the internet, but it was also the rise of streaming that played an equal role in damaging the soundscape of current mainstream hip-hop. See, while the internet and social media put everyone's life on display and blurred the line between influencer and artist, the shift from buying CDs and full-length albums to now just streaming your music off of a playlist has lowered the standard for how hard an artist needs to try. 1,500 streams counts as one album sale. So if you have 30 songs on your album, it's much easier to sell more than if you only had 10 songs on your album, since more streams obviously equals more sales. This incentivizes artists to push for quantity over quality. It's the same reason why every Drake project has around 25 songs, whereas back in the day, his classic projects like Nothing Was the Same only had 12. But the bigger problem here is that not only are artists now rewarded for just putting out bloated, long albums, but they're also rewarded for making cheap hits that carry a 15-second soundbite that could easily go viral on TikTok. So instead of working to push boundaries artistically in order to financially support themselves, rappers now need to make songs that sound like something we've already heard before, because that's what makes it easier to go viral, since these formulaic records usually incorporate either a melody or beat or flow that our brains have already been programmed to hear a million times before. And so I think the solution to this problem, and it's going to sound stupid, but it's to stop rewarding cheap garbage music. Obviously, again, it's much easier said than done. This would require a collective effort from every single music listener to stop streaming what the record labels are pushing and start streaming artists like Tyler, who actually care about the quality of subject matter, production, and cohesiveness that they put into their projects. Because the labels follow the money. If quote-unquote better music is being streamed more, they're going to go after and sign the artists who are making that better music. Right now, the labels and platforms like TikTok are engineering every artist to sound the same, but it could work in the opposite way. If the discourse was that we needed to hold lyricists to a higher standard, we'd get better music. A great example of this is the recent beef between Kendrick and Drake. You could tell how tired hip-hop fans were of these cosplaying formulaic artists, because the second Kendrick came out and said, F the big three, it's just big me, and I hate everything about you, but it's not just me, I'm what the culture's feeling. When he jumped out the gate and initiated this beef, it didn't only excite hip-hop purists, but the whole world started rewarding lyricism again. Everyone was dissecting the bars in these diss records, they shot up to the top of the charts, broke every single streaming record, and it's moves like these that prove the point that if we stop engaging in and rewarding the BS, low-quality music that we've been fed for a long time now, then they'll stop feeding it to us. And of course, music is subjective, so it's not fair to just say that mainstream hip-hop is dead because of the internet or that every rapper sucks now. I mean, Ian's manager called out Tyler for being an old head and not recognizing that Ian's not cosplaying, he's just taking inspiration from the previous generation and connecting it to the youth. But I told you I want to play a game at the end of this video, and the game is use your subjectivity to establish some objectivity. I'm going to show you the highest selling albums from different years, and you be the judge on whether or not hip-hop is in a worse place now than it was before. So let's start with last year, 2023. Here are the most streamed albums of 2023. I see about 1.5 projects here that I go back to. Now, here are the most streamed albums 10 years earlier in 2013. Maybe this is just a fluke though, so let's try another year, 2021 versus 2011. Here's 2021. Not bad. You have some solid projects like Donda, The Off Season, Tyler's project Call Me If You Get Lost. Even Baby Keem's project was good. But here's 2011. Does anything on that 2021 list compare to a Take Care or Watch the Throne or a Section 80? I don't think so, but again, that could be a fluke. It could be nostalgia talking. So why don't we compare the entire 2000s decade, all the best-selling rap albums that were released from 2000 to 2009, and let's see if they're any better than the albums we've gotten since the beginning of 2020, right when the world was introduced to TikTok. Here's the 2000s. Here's the 2020s. Now, I'm not even going to bother getting into the projects from the 90s, but I think you guys get the point. And again, sales aren't everything. There's obviously some amazing lyricists that are still active in hip-hop today. I mean, just this year alone, in 2024, we got great projects from Schoolboy Q, Vince Staples, Killer Mike, Benny the Butcher, Mavi, Denzel Curry, Common, the list goes on. But if you want to see these kinds of projects being pushed to and awarded at the forefront of the culture the way they were back in the 2000s, if you don't want to see every big rapper today try to sound like one another, then sales do matter. The only thing we can do is stream and advocate for strong bodies of work. Again, it's easier said than done, but it's important to have these conversations if we want to see hip-hop in a much better place in 2030 than it is in 2024. And I think hearing these comments from someone with such a strong catalog of albums as Tyler the Creator has is very important for us to be able to push music forward. It's like if a fat person keeps eating McDonald's and no one tells them that they keep getting fatter and fatter. I mean, yeah, these are tough conversations to have, but we gotta have them if we want to improve. So let me know what you guys think. Where did I get it wrong? Where did I get it right? Do you think we're in a bad place in hip-hop currently? And if so, what do we do to get out of it? How do we change? How do we evolve? Let me know and I'll catch you guys in the next